Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. We get together every week to share ideas about stuff that we think is innovative, entrepreneurial, educational, especially as all of these things might relate to service to others, which is what Rotary is all about, service above self. And this week we have got with us a wonderful speaker from Chicago, a woman named Nicole Vasquez. And Nicole has put together a wonderful co-working space. And so for folks for whom that's a new term, I'm sure she'll enlighten you as to what that means. And this is a space called The Shift in Chicago. And it is designed not merely to help kind of smallish businesses get together and begin to see kind of new possibilities, but also to really get themselves started and to connect with other folks who are interested in such things. And how this all happens within the realm of building a community is something that she is going to share in great detail. It is our pleasure to welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, Nicole Vasquez. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm happy to participate. I'm very excited to contribute this presentation and to talk about something that I love doing every single day, which is coming to work in this shared environment and working with so many great people from all different industries. So without further ado, I guess I will just launch right into the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen now. There we go. All right, everyone can see it? Great. So my presentation is Co-working Creative Spaces and the Rise of the Sharing Economy. So what are some things that Uber, Airbnb, and WeWork all have in common? They are part of the sharing economy, which is also known as the collaborative consumption, which is not nearly as popular as the term as the sharing economy. The sharing economy is a trending business concept that highlights the ability and perhaps the preference for individuals to rent or borrow goods rather than buy and own them. So why has the sharing economy become so popular so quickly? Well, the key to the sharing economy is people. Many people would think it is the business services, which of course are great in themselves, but the key is actually the people involved, the participants who engage in a community to which they contribute and also benefit from. So let's see, how does it work? The participants share access to products or services rather than having individual ownership. So for example, using Uber to get a ride from a driver using his or her own vehicle rather than having to purchase and maintain your own vehicle. And of course, it should be noted that not all are believers. There are some economists against the change in consumption patterns. This presentation will not dive into economic theory or opinion, but if you are interested in learning more about the arguments against the sharing economy, because there are a few out there, just do a simple Google search of against the sharing economy. All right, so why should we share? Or why do people share? To reduce individual waste, which means you're not spending as much of your own money, time, and resources. For economic and personal freedom, because when you share, there's no commitment when there is no ownership. To upgrade, many times through sharing, you can have what you can't afford to buy on your own. And because it's quick, convenient, and affordable. And many sharing economy services also offer an on-demand option, which is very, very convenient. For example, the Uber app allows you to request a ride on your phone, and the driver shows up in just a few minutes. So now, how is the sharing economy affecting the way that we work? The sharing economy is not just for personal services or leisure. And the reason is, due to advances in technology, many workers are no longer constrained by time or place, which means that we can now apply the sharing economy to our workspaces. But taking a step back, let's think about what the traditional options for workspace are. Traditional options are a regular office, a home office if you did work from home, or a shared public space like a Starbucks or a library. However, for most people, the home office and public spaces are not conducive to productivity. And so for me, going forward with the notion of the shared economy in mind, I believe that there are two kinds of shared spaces. There is the physical space, the shared workspace, which is a physical space where people can get work done. For example, Regis Executive Suites, the lounge area of a professional club like Soho House, or a Starbucks. The other kind is a co-working space, and a co-working space actually refers to a community that develops within a shared physical workspace, thus being able to be classified as a co-working space. For example, The Shift or WeWork, which is a very large name that almost everybody has heard of these days. Billions of dollars, I forgot what their last valuation was, but it's pretty enviable for me as a co-working space owner. But they do have a co-working space because they have a community within their business. And so the difference between a shared workspace and a co-working space is the community that develops. So now we can ask ourselves, why do people choose co-working spaces over shared spaces? The numbers show that the interest is growing. As of October 2015, there are approximately 7,800 co-working spaces worldwide, which this number has doubled in the past 2 years. So it shows that there is rapid growth. So let's dive into the reasons of why people choose co-working spaces. Most people state it's to be around other people, for networking opportunities, to get feedback, to enjoy collaboration and the birth of new ideas, for learning, and also for the physical space, the amenities, and the lower cost than renting an individual office. So now, these are the reasons given, but let's see, what are the actual benefits? Because all of these reasons actually have a benefit to them. And you'll see that when people say that their reason is to be around other people, it's actually because they want the accountability of being around other people, which means that they can't just take a nap in the middle of the day or walk around in their pajamas. And also the productivity. When you're around other people, it's encouraging. Again, you're not as tempted to just watch a movie on Netflix or browse Facebook when you see everybody around you is working. The networking opportunities, because of the networking opportunities, you get referrals, you're able to grow your own personal network. The feedback that you get within a co-working space is actually a form of support. Collaboration and new ideas lends to creativity. Learning, the benefit is knowledge gain, which is always a plus. And the physical space and the amenities, again, is the benefit of using without ownership, which is the sharing economy. So because there are many benefits of the sharing economy, they have been applied to other environments. And I think that it's important to highlight this trend because it will only continue. So quickly, I'll just go over some other sharing spaces options, which are co-living spaces. These are new. Check out Common in Brooklyn. This place just opened up. You still have your individual apartment, but yet your dining area and recreational areas are communal. Some people would say, wait, that's a commune, and we're not going to dive into that in this presentation, but it is a unique new kind of idea coming about. There's also maker spaces, which are for builders. So, for example, there's metal and woodworking shops. There's 3D printer places. There's also hacker spaces. There's also niche co-working spaces. For example, I know a woman who's opening up a space, I believe, in Denver, Colorado, that's only going to be for wedding industry people, so photographers, videographers, to event planners. There's also writers-only ones and ones that provide daycare. Some options to look into, which I'll include in the notes later, is Pumping Station 1 here in Chicago, as well as the Writers Workspace here in Chicago. And then there's also niche shared spaces, so shared kitchens for, let's say, caterers or bakers who don't want to spend the money of having their own retail front. Shared gardens, shared artist studios. An example is to look up the Bridgeport Art Center in Chicago. They do shared artist studios. So moving on, what is the secret formula to building a successful, sustainable shared space? And my hint is that it's not the free coffee or the kegerator, the beer in the fridge, or the beanbag chairs, the ping pong tables. Even though those are great amenities, those are not the actual secret sauce. The answer is it's the community. So in 2015, 91% of co-working space members felt that they were part of a community within their space. And this graph kind of indicates the level of how strong they felt as part of a community, but you can see that 91% of it, of members, co-working space members, said that they feel like they're part of a community within their space. The next is, so how is a community built? A community is built by people. So you'll see that this lists the top 7 things co-working space members expect from other members. And of course, casual small talk, sharing knowledge, enjoying others' company, brainstorming, sharing opportunities for jobs or projects, sharing contacts, and quick help. And take note that if you worked from home, you would enjoy none of these benefits. And if you worked from a shared public space like Starbucks, you would not have this kind of open communication or comfort level. You could try, but people would probably think you're weird or creepy. All right, so what is a community? The Shift is a community. I wanted to use a great example, and of course, my own community here is something that I know very well. As a community, we host member events 2 to 3 times per month. At these events, we take a break from our workday to enjoy free food, go around the room and make introductions, talk about what we're working on, and if there's anything we are currently looking for. So for example, if someone's looking for a new website designer or a referral for an accountant, they can do so during those member events. Every member event includes a member show and tell, where one of our members shares their knowledge with our community. So for example, we've had a member do a do-it-yourself ice cream workshop, which was quite a hit, clearly. An overview of recycling and composting. We had a marketing and branding workshop. We have a productivity and time management workshop coming up that people are excited for. So these events provide opportunities for people to get to know each other, exchange ideas and information, and find ways to collaborate or trade services. So, favorite of mine, obviously, is this quote, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." And that's just a great quote, and I also feel like maybe every presentation needs a good quote thrown in there. And although the concept of the sharing economy is actually wanting more for less than we could pay on our own, it's actually the community within that sharing economy which is what we are actually seeking. And for newcomers to a community, they might not even know that that's what they're looking for until they've experienced it. And once they do, it's the reason they actually keep coming back. So, a successful shared ecosystem is built around a community. These are the reasons, these are the things that can contribute to a successful shared ecosystem. So in order to build that community, you have to build it around a common interest or need. It must be a symbiotic relationship, which means that both parties must be getting something out of it. You must be able to adjust and improve the community based on what community members need and want. The personal interaction within a community increases the stickiness, and the stickiness means the loyalty to your individual community, so why they join your co-working space and actually stay there. And the new relationships create loyalty, and new relationships are when somebody makes a good connection or gains a referral, they're more appreciative and loyal to your specific community. Okay, so as a bootstrapped sole founder of the Shifts, I never anticipated my individual story to play a role in the success of my business. However, once our members learned that I went all in on this business and knew that I was on site 7 days a week, they were eager to help support and give feedback and genuinely wanted me to succeed, which leads into the last point of the belief in the overall mission and alignment with leader intention. If you are a leader of your community, it's very important for people to have faith in you and to believe in you. For the larger scale co-working spaces out there, a lot of them still have a personal presence in front of them, and if not, they have a damn good marketing team, and they do really good at branding. WeWork is another great example. They have a really good marketing campaign, and they really focus on the connections made within a space, and they represent that in all of their advertising and marketing. So with that being said, that is the end. I can help. You can email me. Here's my email as well as my Twitter handle. I'm available for projects involving community building, co-working space management, and shared space design, and much, much more. But I'm always here to help other people build their communities, and I'm excited to hear about what people are doing in some traditional and unique and non-traditional ways that people are building communities. So please let me know.
Shag's in the house. So excellent, good stuff, Nicole. I want to quickly introduce the other members of the recording going on. So we have our membership chair, Shags Shagrin, and also one of our board members, Sviatko Chidorov, as part of the team that gets together every chance we get to hear cool people talk about stuff. As they unmute, I will understand that they are ready with a question, and that's what we want to leap into. Is we want to talk about, some of the different impressions that we've had of what you're doing and questions we have about it. So Shags, why don't you get us started? What question do you have for Nicole?
Not so much a question, just really impressed with the program and how you put it together. A comment that when we were starting with our group, we were using a shared community as well, and there's one in Walnut Creek that I visit now and then. It's a wonderful concept. It really does help you feel as if you're not out there doing it alone.
I mean, it's a lot of what happens, for people who join, these kinds of settings, is they get exactly what Shags just described, right? They're already doing what they do professionally, and regardless of distractions, I mean, there are just these personal benefits that may come from a really well-run co-working space. Is that, would you say, in line with your thinking?
Absolutely. We have people opening in the neighborhood that we did. I knew that a lot of people had never even heard of a co-working space, so we had a lot of members that came in just saying, oh, I just need a place to get my work done, to study, to get away from my spouse, from my kids, and have a quiet, productive space. And they didn't know about the actual member events, the community, and they were delighted to find out about our member lunches and our show and tells. And since then, some of the members that we have that are the most active in our community are the people who walked in just looking for a place that wasn't Starbucks or their kitchen table office. And being a neighborhood space, and by that I mean most people that work out of our space are within walking distance or can easily get to us by public transit, there's an added level of interaction because most people that work out of here live very close to each other. So now we have parents that talk about, where their kids are going for school, what daycares are good, people trading restaurant recommendations. So it's also very hyper-local. So that's another added benefit that people didn't know about just by thinking that it's just a physical space that they were buying into.
Interesting. I mean, especially in that when you look at why people might choose a space like that, before your presentation, I don't think I'd really clued into the fact that this could be about something more than convenience in a business perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who just need a good place to study might say, I'm gonna join this space because it's a great place to be able to go and do my work.
Yep.
That it helps me, I think, see this at another level myself.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, the concept of shared offices have actually been around for years. I mean, you could even consider like a strip mall a shared facility because everyone's within the same thing. But there's a reason of why they didn't gain, in popularity until the co-working movement came around, which is the community, because you have to cultivate those connections. It's not like, okay, you can just give everybody a space in the same building and everyone's going to just interact with each other. It's not that easy. There's a human component to it.
Sviatko, how about you?
Hey, Nicole, thanks so much for the great presentation. I also really enjoyed the focus on the community aspect in addition to the physical space. So my question is, what made you go into that type of business, like wanting to open a community co-working space? What's your professional background before that?
Thanks. Great question. So my background is a culmination of many different things. I come from business and operations and management, as well as event production, sales and marketing, new business development. So clearly I've had a few different roles that kind of all tapped into different skill sets, and I finally hit the point where I was like, gosh darn it, I've cultivated this unique skill set of being able to run a business and manage a community, but also use my creative side of creating environments where people can learn and interact with each other. But even before that, I saw my first co-working space about 3.5 years ago. I walked into a place and I just felt a buzz in the air, and looking around, I saw individuals working, I saw teams working, I saw people of all different ages, ethnicities, professional backgrounds. I saw suits, I saw, Mark Zuckerberg hoodies and jeans, and I just love the environment. And coming from an event background as well, I always felt like the best events were the ones that brought together a blend of different people, and that's how I felt about workspaces, that there's a power that happens, there's a magic that happens when people of all different backgrounds get together and start sharing ideas. So it was all of those different reasons that I fell in love with the co-working movement and wanted to have a physical space where that collaboration could happen daily. And then also, as a continual learner, I just wanted to have a physical place to continue to host classes and great events where I can continue to learn every day.
Is there any danger in a space like the space you've got that it's actually kind of not quiet enough for people? I mean, is it the case that people who want to be able to get feedback on things they're doing and are comfortable talking to each other, find that if I really just need to sit and work for 2 hours and not have anybody bother me, but there's all these people around, is that?
Oh yeah. That's a great question, and that has been hotly debated in the workspace world for years now. The move towards the open workspace, where there's no more cubicles and everything's one big open room, was very popular a few years ago. And then in the past few years, there's been this anti-open space movement, because people or purists are saying, well, you need to still have space and an ability to concentrate, and there is no right or wrong answer. It is dependent on design. So if you have an open workspace design, you need to take into account sound, echo, distractions, both physical and audible distractions. But people are very creative and resilient, and they'll find ways to make the space work for them. So even though we are a small space compared to other spaces, we do have an open workspace, but to counteract the need for privacy or quiet, we have 2 private spaces, and we're actually building 2 more. So we have a private conference room, we have a private phone and video booth, and then we're also building 2 more private rooms. So if somebody really needs to get up and get away and have privacy, or they just want a quieter area, they have options to do so. Or at their desk, headphones. We have writers and some developers really like to get in the zone. They bring in their headphones and they put those on, and it's kind of a informal way to say, hey, I'm really hunkering down on my work. So people take it in their own hands. So it could get distracting. There's larger spaces that I know people have come from and been like, okay, it was just too distracting there. So there is probably a tipping point, I would say. If you have a 8,500, 10,000 square foot space, that's a lot of people in there, and it could get distracting, but you can take certain measures to counteract that.
So when I think of the co-working space that I've seen, there's this kind of big open space, where people, are kind of within range of each other. They're going over to the food area, coming back, working at tables, kicked back. They've got relaxation spaces or whatever. But there are also businesses that have kind of set up shop there in terms of saying, okay, we have a little office here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot cheaper to do it that way than it is to actually go out somewhere and find an office, not to mention kind of everything else you talked about with regard to being in contact with others.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be curious to know, across the industry or at the shift or wherever, how many of the clients, how many of the people who buy into the community are doing it at that level where they're trying to actually also have their own space as a part of that?
It depends. So if you look at every co-working space, there's a different mix of setup. So some spaces are completely open workspace, so it's just a cafe type membership where you walk in, you sit anywhere you'd like. There's also dedicated desks, which means that an individual has their very own desk. No one else can sit there. They can leave stuff there. And then there's also private offices. And every space has a different mix of those three options. Some spaces that have a lot of startups, they are small businesses, they have private offices, so those people may be in the office. We do not have any private offices here. We use a mix of open workspace and dedicated desks. The dedicated desks provide an added level of, feeling of kind of place within the shift. So our companies that work out of here, they have company signage displayed, they have their stuff on the desk. People know that that's Craig and Mark from Wastemaster sitting over there. And there's Becky and Jeff, they're the WordPress experts that do projects together. They always sit over there. So there is a certain level of ownership within the space and company presence. But every space is going to be different in terms of how they represent those companies. And then there's also a growing point. Certain spaces that are larger than others can accommodate startups of 6 to 8 to 10, whereas our space here is great for startups between 2 to 4, 2 to 5 people. So it's all going to vary based on the size of the space and the layout. But I would definitely say that those companies within the space have a presence and are kind of proudly promoted, just like our individuals are. And if anything, they get an added oomph of being kind of double promoted as their own company as well as a company that works out of the shift.
Now I see Shags is unmuted.
Yes.
Comment or question?
You're associated with the Chicago office, is that Chicago location? Because I was on the website for WeWork and I see they're all over the place.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they are.
Most of me, in fact, in Berkeley. So I'm about 45, I'm a 3/4 mile walk from the train, and then the closest one to me is only a 2-block walk from the other end.
Yeah, I would definitely advise checking them out. They have a cool space.
I mean, it seems that places like San Francisco Bay Area, Chicago.
Yeah, there are 5 in San Francisco. It was very impressive. I checked it out when you popped it up.
Wow, I think last time I was there was 2. They're sprouting.
Yeah, they are. No, very nice. Really impressed with it. Do you ever have virtual events, educational events for the groups? Because I do a lot of work over in presentations using the internet, so we don't necessarily have to travel. And I offer a lot of insight into how people can better understand their personal relationship with money and how it's impacting their way of moving through the world of business. So I'm always open to finding new venues of presenting those ideas to people.
That's wonderful, and a topic that many people could benefit from. We don't do many virtual events now, but everybody knows if somebody is, if there's demand for it, or if it's a cool way to do something, I'm always up for trying something new, so would welcome that opportunity. Most of our events here are in person, actually almost all of them are. Again, as a neighborhood space, we focus on the intimate groups when people come in. Our classes range between 5 to 20 people, and that allows for really good, engaging group conversation and also direct access to the instructor, which doesn't mean that you don't have that with the virtual one, but right now, again, our in-person, I think the benefits of the educational kind of experience is really heavy when it's in person, but I mean, hey, we're virtual right now, and I'm learning a lot of great things here.
It's a great way of reaching out. I do a lot of work with clients all around the world and with training people all around the world through the virtual platform because it saves so much time, energy, money, and you don't have to buy them coffee.
Yeah, that's true. Or pastries, which.
Right.
So one more kind of question before we wind everything down. As a Rotary Club, our interests are not completely dissimilar. How do you bring interesting, fascinating people into the same space? In this case, an online space, where they have the chance to talk about ways of improving their communities, this kind of stuff. And I think about what you described as member events. And I would say that I would guess that the standard member event is the thing where people come to the space and there's food there, and maybe you have somebody talking or something to show or something. But do you ever get the group out and say, okay, we're going to go join a Habitat for Humanity build, or we're going to do this or that, or going to serve at the soup kitchen? Do you ever do those kinds of things?
That's a great idea and question. Many other spaces that have been around for years will say that the best way to market is actually outside of your space. So have a happy hour at a local bar, because you're talking with people on not on your turf type. So it's a very open and discussion, rather than saying, oh, have happy hour at our space, even though you're not a member, just come on over, it's okay. It's like getting invited to someone's house that you don't really know that well or have ever met. You probably aren't going to go. So that's a really good idea. We have done some off-site events after the workday. What's tough is that in the middle of the workday, at the end of the day, people are here to get work done. So our member events are actually limited to no more than 30 minutes. So that we're conscious of their schedules. So in the middle of the day, it is hard to go off-site because people are here working, but we have done off-site events in the evenings, and that's it's a great way to experience each other outside of the workspace. Just like in a traditional office, you have your chit-chat with your coworkers, but what's really fun is when you get them out of the office and give them a beer or two, and then you can see who they really are.
Makes sense. Cool. Well, with that, let's wind down our time. I will kind of give the last few thoughts, and then give the very last thought to Nicole, who will be able to kind of sum up everything, hopefully in some way that works for everybody. But everyone who has taken in this program and this meeting with the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, we would love to have you visit just as often as you want to be inspired to do so. That is our goal every week, to inspire you via the ideas that people share. To see new possibilities for what you do and how you see yourself as someone who can make a difference in your community, these kinds of things. We do ask that before you finish, you do two more things, which is first, to go down and to fill out the I attended survey. So there's an attendance survey. This allows us just to send you a note saying, hey, thanks for being here. And if you're a visiting Rotarian, that will generate an email that you can then share with your club secretary so that you can get credit for a makeup for a missed meeting. Additionally, a little farther down, we have a conversation area called Discuss, D-I-S-Q-U-S. You can log into that via a Discuss account if you want to create one, or through Facebook or whatever else, and leave a thought. What is it about what we've been talking about in this program just now, or any other piece of the meeting that kind of sings to you as being interesting in some fashion? Let us know. Often our speakers will reply to ideas, as they go down, if their time allows. And so you can engage with people that way as well. So we hope that you will certainly take part in that, and that you will be back again next week when we have another cool speaker for you. So with that, I'd like to give the last thought to Nicole. Nicole?
Oh, goodness. So many things I could say, but I always just say never stop learning. Learn from other people, learn from experiences, and just keep doing. Keep doing, keep learning. And keep supporting other people as much as you can.
Sounds great. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sviatko and Shags, for joining in as well. And we will look forward to seeing everyone again next week.
Thank you.